Really excited for this challenge to play at home and for first place in the SEC, play a great team, top 3 team in the country like LSU is an awesome opportunity for us. So got to continue to have a great week of preparation. These guys probably have the best roster since we've been here, from top to bottom, and we're going to have to prepare and play really well.
Ain't no probably about it. This will be a different kind of challenge for Lane Kiffin's Rebels, as LSU this year is built differently. Neal McCready, Rebels, 24/7. Good enough to join us. Get him on Twitter or X at Neal McCready. Hey, man, how are you?
Matt, I'm good. How are you?
Doing awesome. So there was all kind of news breaking on Wednesday that Trinidad Chambliss would start, and then Lane Kiffin went on McAfee show and said that was news to him. We expecting Trinidad Chambliss to start Saturday?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, Lane is using the word available instead of injury on these reports, and frankly, that's the league's fault. The league calls it availability reports, so he says, here's who's available. Austin Simmons will be available. He will be dressed. He will go through warmups, and in a world where he is needed, he will be available.
Okay.
I think Trinidad Chambliss will start, and I think their plan will be for him to play the overwhelming majority of the game. I think they would like to probably not play Simmons because of his ankle, but he is available to play. So when the people, and there are a few in the media who are saying that Lane is lying on the report. No, he's not. He's available and he's ready to play. Now, if it was an injury report, I think we would have a different conversation about whether it's ankle or whether it's a hip or whether it's both ankle and hip, which is what I think. But but yes, to answer your question, I think it'll be Chambliss, but Simmons will be available, and if he needs to play, he'll play.
So you've covered the sport for a long time, and you've seen Trinidad Chambliss since he showed up on campus. Most of us have only seen him for the last 2 weeks. I'm curious if what you've seen, you think he's ready for the challenge of going against LSU's defense, which will clearly, Neal, be dramatically different than what he's faced the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, sure. It'd be dramatically different than anything he's ever faced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so. I mean, in terms of like the mental preparation and that kind of thing, yeah, I think he'll be ready. He's a very poised kid. He's very confident, very smart. Yes, he played D2, but if you look at the numbers that he put up at D2, not everybody puts up those numbers at D2. And then in the 2 games he's played at Ole Miss against Arkansas and Tulane, he's been incredibly effective. He has protected the football. He's been very efficient. He has spread the ball around. He can make plays with his feet. He has very good pocket awareness. But yeah, I mean, obviously this is going to be a completely different challenge than the one that he's had before. So when I say he's ready, I'm not saying that he's going to go thrive and be SEC player of the week or anything, but I don't think the moment or the opponent is going to intimidate him.
We'll get right back to the video, but thrilled to welcome Our Lady of the Lake to AFR LSU. As the championship health partner of LSU athletics, the physicians at Our Lady of the Lake serve the champions on the field in the purple and gold, but that same level of care is available to you and your family. I've been a proud supporter of Our Lady of the Lake my entire life, from volunteering at the Ronald McDonald Playroom as a high schooler to helping so many of the fundraising efforts for the standalone Children's Hospital, to my own son being a patient now at that very Children's Hospital, and my primary care physician, Dr. Kurt Chastain at Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health Group. Our Lady of the Lake has been a part of my medical journey my entire life, and you can learn more as well. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Neal, is there the statistics through 4 weeks have been very good. I think you should largely expect with the Lane Kiffin offense. As the sample size grows, we'll get more truth in what's real and what isn't. Is there a big question that you still have about the Ole Miss offense?
No. I have questions on defense. I really don't have questions on offense. Okay. Look, Lane is a brilliant offensive coach, and not only that, he's got a staff full of really good coaches, Charlie Weiss Jr. and Joe Judge, and kind of the list goes on of guys that are really good offensive people. They have won with different kinds of quarterbacks since they've been here. Matt Corral and Jackson Dart were not the same player. Austin Simmons, Trinidad Chambliss are not the same player. This offense has produced. I think they're better up front than they're getting some credit for. I think they've certainly played better as the weeks have gone on. Luke Haas, the Arkansas transfer, is getting healthy. They have some depth at tight end for the first time really all season. It's a very talented receiver core with different kinds of people that can beat you. They have Lane, as you and I talked about this the other day. Lane's done a phenomenal job with the portal. He has taken the transfer portal and turned Ole Miss into a program that's won 25 of its last 30 games. There aren't many programs in the country that can say that. He's done it by being able to target players in the portal that make sense for his system, get them at the right valuation, and then get them to buy into the culture. And he's been very successful with that on the offensive end. Look, I think this is a good offense. I'm not sure it's a great one yet. We'll find out. I think it's potentially a great one. They haven't played enough good defensive teams for me to say that with any degree of comfort, but I think it's an explosive offense that if you're not disciplined on the defensive side, you can get burned. They have a lot of weapons that they can use and that they do use. It's what Lane does really well, going all the way back to his, Tennessee days, his USC days, certainly his years at Alabama. He utilizes the personnel that he has. He'll adapt his system to the personnel better than a lot of people.
He's on Twitter at Neal McCready, Rebels 24/7. You said you do have questions on defense, so let's flip it over there. Where's the biggest question that needs to be answered?
Well, a year ago, Ole Miss was elite on the defensive front,
Yes.
and they were just incredibly disruptive with, a multitude of players, including 4 that went to the NFL off last year's team, just on the defensive line alone, Matt. This defensive line has some talent. I think Xavier Harris is a terrific player. I think Will Eccles, Prince Well, Iman Mielen. There's some other guys that Cam Franklin. There's some guys that are really talented, but they've not gotten home to the quarterback. They've I think have 4 sacks as a team through 4 games, which is not a great number. They have been against running quarterbacks, certainly against Arkansas. And look, Arkansas is pretty good offensively. I know we do this thing in the media where we say a team sucks, and so all of a sudden the whole team sucks and everything sucks. Taylor Green's really talented as a quarterback, and they've got, and in addition to him, they've got a couple of backs, Washington and Braylon Russell, I think is his name, if I recall correctly, that are solid SEC backs. I think LSU's better up front on the offensive line than we in the media give them credit for. So, and Taylor Green was on that night, but still, that was a lot of yardage that they put up, 520 some odd yards of offense. I have some questions about Ole Miss on the back end. I mean, I think there are some potential answers back there, but I do think they could end up being a little susceptible. I'm not sure yet. We're going to see probably here this weekend facing a quarterback who can make every throw. Taylor Green had some success throwing the football, but Ole Miss was so off balance after the first few drives with Arkansas that it's you don't know whether that game was an outlier or whether that game was a sign of things to come. I think it was probably more of an outlier just because Taylor was so effective that night with his decision making. Petrino had a great game plan. They executed it. I mean, their first 5 possessions against Ole Miss was 4 touchdowns and a missed field goal. I mean, they were really efficient offensively. Ole Miss can't allow that to happen again. Now, they didn't against Tulane, and Tulane doesn't have an SEC offensive front. Ole Miss's defense dominated it. I mean, this is going to be, I think, for both of these teams, this is going to be the toughest test that each of them has faced so far this season.
The biggest question that I have about this game entirely, Neal, is when it's LSU's rush offense against Ole Miss's rush defense, because statistically, objectively, neither is good when you look statistically. You said you think LSU's offensive line may be better than we're giving it credit for, and that maybe Ole Miss, a little bit of an outlier because of what happened against Arkansas, especially in that first half. So what do we look for with that matchup, which right now statistically is bad on bad?
Yeah, and I don't think either unit will end up being bad, but to this point, LSU's had a very difficult time establishing a running game. I don't think they've done, just statistically, the greatest job of protecting Nussmeier in the pocket. And then Ole Miss defensively, they're not as deep as they were a year ago up front. They're not as explosive as they were a year ago up front. I think the game gets decided here, which is irony ironic, I should say, Matt, because a year ago, I thought LSU's offensive front was elite, and I thought Ole Miss's defensive front was elite. And a year later, as you would expect, with all the attrition, I don't think either is elite, and I think this is where the game is decided.
They're all in the NFL, man. They're all
in the league.
Picks.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dudes. I mean, Will Campbell and Walter Nolan, and I mean, just the list goes on of guys that were legitimate all SEC, all American caliber players that are gone, and it's the one thing, and you and I kind of talked about this on my podcast the other day. It's the one thing that you just don't know in this era of college football, where everyone goes, well, you can just completely replace a roster overnight in a year. I don't know that I believe that. You can replace a lot, and you can minimize how much the fall off is. But when you lose, like Ole Miss did, those 4 defensive linemen from a year ago, and you lose Chris Paul, and you lose Trey Amos, and then you lose some guys that we don't talk about, like Trey Washington played a lot of football at Ole Miss. He was really effective as a safety. Was he an NFL caliber player? I mean, probably not. But, man, he was a really good college player who played a lot of football. And when you lose that many players, I think it takes a minute, maybe a year or longer, to replace them. I think Ole Miss is better defensively than maybe some people think they are. I think there's a little too much attention that's being played to that Arkansas game without giving Arkansas's offense the credit that it probably deserves. If you look at Arkansas's overall offensive numbers, they've kind of been effective against everyone. But I think, long-winded answer to your question, I think that's where this game's getting decided.
Last thing for you, Neal McCready's with us, Rebels 24/7. Get him at Neal McCready. Okay, Lane's got a blueprint to win this game. Obviously, both teams would love to win it 50-6, but what's a realistic path that you think Ole Miss would follow to win it?
Yeah, it's going to be protecting the football, which they've been able to do the last couple of games. That was the one thing that really saved them from disaster against Arkansas early when they were trying to figure out how to slow Green down, was they didn't turn the ball over. They scored on their each possession, and they kept that game going sort of like a tennis match. That's one. 2, they absolutely have to get to Nussmeier. It doesn't mean that you roll up a bunch of sack numbers where you sack him 7 or 8 times. I'm sure Ole Miss would love to do that, but they've got to get him off platform. They can't let him get comfortable. He's too good. He can make every throw. I think LSU has some really talented receivers that if this thing gets into a deal where LSU where Nuss gets comfortable in the pocket, I think this ends up being probably a rough day for Ole Miss. If they can disrupt him, typically, and I've covered Lane Kiffin now for 6 years, Matt, typically Lane Kiffin figures something out on offense, and they're going to get theirs. They just about always do, and to the point where I just sort of expect it to happen. Again, I think this game comes down to LSU's offense, especially up front, against Ole Miss's defense. If LSU can establish a running game, get into a rhythm, and protect Nussmeier, I think LSU wins. If they don't, and they can't, I think Ole Miss wins. But I think it's a close game. This series, I went back and looked at it. The last time this series was decided by more than one score was back in 2021, which was, the end for Orgeron, right? I mean, ever since then, it's been home teams winning super close games. And I think this is going to be a really tight game. I think it's kind of coin toss-ish. I think Vegas has it like at 1.5, 2 points. That's a couple points of that are home field. Vegas is baking in. I mean, I've kind of got this as a coin toss, and I think they do too.
It's generally great theater with LSU and Ole Miss. We'll see what the next installment holds. You want to check out Neal, you can. Rebels 24/7. He and I recorded his pod earlier this week. If you want to check it out, it's linked at my Twitter and his, also at Neal McCready. Always appreciate it, man. All the best. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Good talk to you.
You as well. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.